First at 5, more schools in the Portland area are shutting off the lights in classrooms and going back to remote learning. And it's all because of the surging pandemic. KGW's Pat Doris joins us live from his remote studio in Northeast Portland, where he's been talking with school leaders. Pat, this is such a challenging time.
It really is, Laurel, and everybody I talked with said shutting down the schools is really a last resort. But they said after days of juggling schools, it became clear that for some of them, the thing to do was just turn off the lights.
In the Tigard-Tualatin School District, 6,500 students are going back to distance learning. The district will temporarily close Tigard High School, Tualatin High School, along with Fowler Middle School and Hazelbrook and Tualatin Middle Schools. They join Durham Elementary, which was already closed because of COVID. Superintendent Sue Reekie-Smith told me there simply were not enough people to fill all the positions needed to keep the schools running.
Because this thing is incredibly fluid, and much different than Delta. Delta was a slower roll, and we could keep an eye to it. This one is just literally moment by moment.
She said the daily battle to find enough healthy people to staff the schools is exhausting.
Our day starts here at about 4:30 in the morning. We take a look at staff outages and sub-requests. We then take a look at where we are with our students. I get another report around 8 a.m., one midday, one in the afternoon, and then in the evening, we're taking a look at sub-requests for the next day. And 4:30, we start all over again.
She hopes the switch to online is brief, and as of right now, the plan is to return to in-person learning on Monday, January 24th. In the Hillsborough District, 2 large elementary schools, Indian Hills and Brookwood, will both go online, sending 779 students back home. A spokeswoman said the concern is a possibility of a high number of people infected who are now at school.
It's a number of factors. It's can you field enough staff to hold school safely? Have there been enough potential exposures that the resources it would take to potentially put all of those people through a testing regimen to determine whether or not it's safe to hold school or not is realistic.
Forest Grove High School is also moving to online classes with a third of their students already absent. At the Salem-Keizer District, the second biggest in Oregon, no schools are shut down yet. But it's definitely day by day, says the assistant superintendent.
We don't actually have a threshold because every site is different. Of course, that 20% would make things really difficult to keep buildings open and functioning the way we'd like to.
And just to show you how fast things have changed, in the time since we've done that interview, Salem-Keizer just a little bit ago sent out a release that Friday they're canceling school for the entire district, 49,000 students, and it's because of a rise in COVID. They say that they're getting low on staff numbers. They're planning this to be just a one-day closure, at least for now. We'll see if that changes as we get closer to Friday. Back to you.
Thank you, Pat. And coming up tonight on The Story at 6 o'clock, it's a deeper dive into the challenges schools are facing right now. A big question from teachers and parents: when does the school decide to move to remote learning? Is there a threshold or specific metrics to use?
I hear our families and I hear our educators wanting a clear metric or a clear threshold, but it's not. I don't think that's it's not that simple. Knowing, again, our premise is to keep schools open.
Jonathan Garcia, who you just heard from there, says Portland Public Schools is monitoring multiple data points, including absences and staff vacancies, among other things. Here is some of the raw data today. He says the district had 291 teachers requesting a substitute. 160, more than half those requests, were not filled on Monday. Almost 1 in 4 students district-wide did not show up to class. We'll take a closer look at the numbers and process tonight at 6 o'clock on The Story. Developing tonight, frustration is mounting for some small business owners in Southeast Portland. They're dealing with a series of break-ins, and they think the same guy could be responsible for all of them. Mike Benner's live in Southeast Portland with a look at the suspect. Mike?
Yeah, Laurel, we're getting a look at the suspect because he was actually captured on a number of security cameras at businesses up and down Southeast Division. Let's go ahead and take a look. This first piece of video is from the morning of January 4th. The burglar is inside Coral Story Beauty. He moves around the front of the business before heading to the back room. We're told he stole the cash drawer and some other items before leaving. He returned 5 days later on January 9th and tried to steal the cash drawer again, but it had not yet been replaced. Also that morning, the guy got into nearby Adorn. He's using a COVID mask to conceal his identity this time. These business owners tell us some of their neighbors were also hit. All of this, as you can imagine, is extremely frustrating when you take into account we're still in the middle of a pandemic and operating a business is tough.
We're all trying to survive. I'm a small business. This is my passion. This is what I love to do, and it's super frustrating. It's violating.
I think what is disheartening to all of us is that we all know that once they do catch him, he will be released within 24 hours, most likely.
All right, both Nicole Whitesell and Morning Dove Behringer hope that you'll call the Portland Police Bureau if you recognize the guy in the video. And if you need another look at the video, you'll find it on our website, kgw.com. Laurel.
Thank you, Mike. In Washington, Governor Jay Inslee is calling for action in Olympia and laid out his priorities in his State of the State address today. Top items include school funding to keep kids in class, more to help people who are homeless, such as building affordable housing, and action on the environment, like cleaner fuel standards and help for wildlife.
We must take action this day to keep and strengthen our commitments to those in need right now and in the future. We must take action this day to fight the homelessness crisis, to reverse social and economic disparities, to educate our children and serve those in foster care, to fund our transportation system, to protect our salmon and orca.
The governor says Washington has the money to pay for his priorities thanks to a strong economy and federal aid that have created a surplus. State Republicans say they want to see a tax cut in this legislative session, which is now underway. Did last year feel a little warmer to you than usual? It should have. 2021 marked the second warmest year on record for Portland. Nationwide, it marked the fourth warmest year on record. The statistics are out, and they are even alarming the experts. Keely Chalmers explains.
This summer, records shattered as the relentless heat went on and on and on. It was a heat wave like no other.
It's not uncommon to see a couple days of reach 100 degrees, 102, 104. But to see our records like they did in June, where one day we shattered the previous all-time high, the next day you do it again, and then the third day in a row, that's pretty unique.
Clinton Rocky not only lived it, he tracked it, which is why the National Weather Service meteorologist is not all that surprised that 2021 was the second warmest year on record at the Portland airport.
But with last year, we had that persistent pattern with a high pressure over the western United States that really blocked us from getting any kind of good cooling at night.
Rocky compares that high pressure to a rock and a river blocking any sort of cooling storms. He, like other climate experts, says because our climate is changing, we will see more extreme weather events like this, more heat waves, but also more and larger storms.
Where you go really cold or really hot or really wet or really dry, that swing in extremes is more likely what you'll see with climate change as we continue, as Mother Nature tries to reestablish new climate zones.
Changes that are not only causing cities to heat up to record highs, but also our oceans.
The oceans are warming at a rate now, it's 8 times faster than we've seen in past decades. In 2021, the oceans are now the hottest they've ever been.
The warmer the oceans, the more intense the storms, the faster the glaciers melt. In other words,
that doesn't bode well.
Yes, this is an indication of climate change.
Oregon State climatologist Larry O'Neill says 2021 was notable, not just because of that deadly heat wave.
It was the fact that we had so many days of heat waves, of just persistent heat that we usually don't get.
And it is that persistent heat we will need to take more permanent steps to deal with, investing in air conditioners or other ways to keep cool, because the climate models show we will continue to gradually warm. Keely Chalmers, KGW.